Okay, we're going. We're here. Right, so you're not going to believe this, but the little red rug that is going to blow your mind. The little red rug that I bought uncertainly. That's my wireless mouse. I bought this little red rug 9 months ago, and it was one of those carpet things that was all like rolled up, and I was like, this will be perfect. I can have a rug, it'll go over the length of my room, and it'll cover the entire fucking floor because it's rolled up, right? The perfect size. Turns out it is about the size of a bath mat, and when I unrolled it, I was sorely disappointed, thinking that it would be suitable to cover the entire fucking floor, and it's literally like 3 feet by 2. And it was useless, and I couldn't do anything with it. I had to buy a new rug, which, that was an adventure unto itself, the story of which I will say it was not an adventure, and I won't bore you, although, never mind, going down a fucking thought hole. Anyway, well, I thought, fuck, 15 quid wasted, I'll never see that money again for this useless scrap of carpet. Today, it has come in handy. Today it is delineating the space which I'm allowed to inhabit while I'm making this video. It's actually the perfect size. So as long as I don't step off the boundaries of the rug, you will be able to see me, and I will be able to see me when I look at the thing, because it's kind of like looking into the mirror of infinite narcissism. This is not a bad stand-up comedy set. This is me probably overstimulated from caffeine, although there's a very real possibility that this is actually just me. And I'm very excited about that possibility, because I am forever complaining, and now I'm looking at myself in the other mirror, which makes this even more of a loop of narcissism. I'm just going to talk to myself in the mirror. No, I'm not. That would be too strange. Although my hair is looking messy. Anyway, hello Christine. How are you? Guess what? I said I was going to do something, and then, bizarrely, I don't know what's going on, I actually did it. I actually made the video. What the fuck? But this ties into what I'm trying to say. So, I don't know if I'm over-caffeinated or what, but I feel okay. And I am perpetually complaining about the fact that I don't feel good. I feel tired, I feel sleepy, I feel na. I can't do anything because I don't feel good. Today, for whatever reason, and I've been puzzling over it for at least a couple of hours, trying to figure out, why do I feel alright today? Still don't know why. I've got a few hypotheses, one of which is that I've had a lot of coffee, but not a tremendous amount, but I've had enough. So I'm wondering if I'm just over-caffeinated. If I am, I don't care, because I'm actually thinking thoughts for once. I'm actually engaging with like abstract thoughts that are worth thinking. I'm making a little bit of progress with the work search thing, which is very encouraging. I'm getting more of I've cleaned my room, which is something that is always like a terrible source of consternation, is when will I feel okay enough? When will I feel less than fatigued? When will I be able to clean my fucking room and throw the Hoover around without having some sort of terrible anxiety attack? Guess what? That time was this evening at 8:30. I was able to do it without freaking out. Speaking of freaking out, there's some music going in the background. You're probably wondering what's up with the whole South Island thing. I'll explain that in a moment, but first we have to get the Nightmare DJ machine to work, and that's the little thing in the top left corner that you can see. And basically the way it works is we play 2 tracks of an ambient nature together at the same time, and we get some chaotic, hopefully harmonious music that is somewhat original and should avert any YouTube censorship. That's kind of the idea. Also, it's just kind of a little bit of fun for me. Find it works really well with sort of like ambient pieces. So let's give it a go. I'm just gonna go ahead and make some adjustments, and then I'm okay with whatever results, hopefully. So yeah, that machine, is it whirring in the corner? It's not. It's not whirring in the corner. You don't know what's going on. That's fine. Let's see if I can fix that on the fly. Do you care if I do? Hey, look at this. I can move all this shit. Oh, I don't know if that's gonna mess anything up. Is it whirring? I can hear David Sylvian. I haven't listened to David Sylvian in at least a year. But I love David Sylvian, and I don't know why I haven't listened to him. I've forgotten he exists. David Sylvian even, not Silverman. The creepy man's alternative to David Bowie. Maybe we should turn him off though, because this doesn't really work if there's vocals. And it doesn't really work anyway, to be honest, but I have fun with it. How about all of Midnight Radio? Yeah, sure. Alright, tell you what. All of Midnight Radio. Yeah, I do. I do want to get rid of Sylvian. Fine. This is taking up too much time and effort. You don't care about my technical troubles, and they're always the most boring bit. Here we go, I'm doing it again. They're always the most boring bit of any stream or YouTube video or any sort of online thing. Talking with my hands, because that's the thing that I used to do, and I'd like to do it more, because apparently it's good. It's always the most boring bit of any YouTube thing, when they start messing around with the format, or the stream, or the audio mixing, and they're like, oh, don't mind me, I've just got to do this thing, because otherwise the whole video will be shit, and everyone's literally screaming at them. We don't care. We do not give a shit if you alter the fucking... If we can hear you and there is something to look at, that is literally all we care about. We don't care whether it's in 480p or 720. We don't care whether it's in 4K. We don't care whether there's a little bit that's like meant to be on the screen and we can't see it, because that little bit's not important. All we care about is that things are happening that are entertaining or interesting. We do not care about this shit right here. Oh no, it's not properly aligned. It's not perfectly aligned. Oh, it's in the wrong resolution. I've just got to fix that. Let me waste 4 minutes of your time messing around with my stream for the purpose of satisfying my own perfectionist egoism. It's always the most boring bit, is what I'm trying to say, so I shouldn't be doing it. But I've done it, and hopefully that's the last of it. So, what else is going on? Well, I've been introduced to Sam Harris, and Sam Harris is a would we call him a materialist philosopher? I believe he's classified as being like a scientific materialist, which means that he believes in, or he doesn't believe in, he holds in high regard the material constituents of reality and evidence-based reasoning, which kind of goes hand in hand with atheism and a scientific approach to things, but it's got like a philosophical, ethical bent to it. I don't really understand. He's a kind of philosopher. He's a materialist philosopher, which doesn't necessarily mean, and doesn't really mean, that he's like a capitalist philosopher, or that his primary concern is like stuff. It simply means the material physical realm is of primacy within his reasoning rather than faith-based approaches or Jungian archetypical approaches. Honestly, materialism and materialist approaches are not something that I usually find attractive, but this guy was very well spoken. He spoke in a very clear, piercing kind of way. He got right to the core of every issue that he discussed, or at least he tried to, and he was very successful when he did, which was most of the time. He was a very impressive reasoner, debater, and thinker, which I saw him going up against Jordan Peterson, and they were kind of having a very intelligent discourse, very attractive, nice to see. Don't see it very much, would like to see more of it in the world. Felt like it was meaningful. It was a good debate. So I was introduced to Sam Harris, and I sort of did the YouTube thing where you slip in down the YouTube hole. Let's get the volume up on Midnight Radio, yeah? I'd like to be able to hear it. I'd like to be able to hear Midnight Radio. I can't hear Midnight Radio, but maybe that's alright. So, during this spate of confusion, this confused period of being unemployed and not knowing what the fuck I'm doing with my future, it's actually very psychologically distressing. It's worrying. And I spend a lot of time reminding myself that I've been in worse positions, that this is not unusual for me to be unemployed. It happens. I've been in this position probably at least half a dozen times, if not more. I spend a lot of time trying to remind myself not to panic and not to be stressed any more than is necessary, because I have confidence in myself to be able to negotiate my way out of it and to be able to get out of the position. I've got mechanisms and means at my disposal that I can use, but it's still very stressful. But also I'm aware at the same time that I have a lot of free time, and I've wasted a lot of it already during this time of not being employed. I've wasted a lot of that time already, which is not good, because when you are actually working, and especially if you've been working for like 7 or 8 months or whatever, without any real sort of break. I mean, maybe you have a week off somewhere, but it doesn't really count for very much in the final analysis, I find. And then you're like 7 months in, and you're like, I had all that time. I had so much time, and I didn't use it well. I didn't have that good of a time. I spent a lot of time being depressed and sad, and probably in my case overeating. I spent a lot of time doing nothing, or playing video games that weren't good, or doing things that weren't enjoyable. I spent a lot of time bored or whatever. And you look back at this time and you're like, I could have done so much. I could have got physically fit. I could have written a book. I could have read more books. I could have educated myself. I could have learned more about the world. I could have gone places. I could have tried new things. I could have this, that, the other. And instead I didn't. And I've been in that position a couple of times where I've been thinking that to myself. And I don't want that to be the case this time. At least as much as I can, I would like to be able to make something of the time, the free time that I do have. But that's very difficult for me, because I've got something seriously wrong with me that means that I'm perpetually unmotivated and anxious, and trapped in my own head. And I'm having a rare moment of lucidity, which is why I'm making the video. You've got to strike while the anvil is hot, which is something that somebody said recently, and I like the concept of the anvil being hot. Like, you don't want to just get the object of your attention warm, you want to get everything going. And at the moment, whether it's caffeine, whether it's some peculiar combination of things that I've ingested or not ingested, I don't know. and I'm so tired of thinking about it that I don't even care. But right now I feel relatively okay, which is so unbelievably valuable. And nobody will ever understand. And I will probably forget how fucking difficult it is to feel like this. I hope I do. I hope I do. I pray for the day when I just feel normal all the time. I would love that more than anything else. To be able to just walk down the street and not care what other people are thinking and not even register their awareness. That would be bliss. Anyway, what else can I quickly talk about? I haven't read enough Young to be able to talk about him. I could talk about Birmingham. I went to Birmingham city centre. It was a kaleidoscopic circus of sales. I don't want to call it a circus of capitalism, although I guess that's kind of what it is. But it's just it's an environment where everything's about selling something. Usually not. Oh, I mean, the things that they do sell are good-ish, generally, in Birmingham city centre. That's kind of why you go there, is that they have some items of quality there that you could purchase. And that's not bad. I mean, I bought The Young. That's a book that's worth reading. It's a good book. It's a book that I would not have been able to get here in my hometown of Lichfield. I could have ordered it online. But, when you order something online, generally you know specifically what you want. You lose some of the enjoyment and the magic of going to a bookstore and rummaging through the shelves and picking things up and putting them down and, do I want this, do I want that? Holding 12 Rules for Life in one hand, holding the moral relative, or the moral landscape, sorry, that's the name of the book, The Moral Landscape. Holding the moral landscape in one hand, holding Peterson's 12 Rules for Life in another, weighing them up and deciding that I don't want either of them, going upstairs, looking through the politics section, not finding what I need, looking through the religion section, not finding what I need, looking at the philosophy, not finding it, and then finally in the psychology, Carl Jung. That was fun. Finding the book was fun. It's part of the enjoyment. And you don't get that if you just order something on Amazon. And it tends to be more random anyway, because unless you definitely know that you want this particular book, which most of the time you probably don't, I'd estimate maybe 20%, quarter of the time I know exactly which book I want, and the rest of the time it's like I go in there, I might have an idea of an author, I might have an idea of a theme, I might have an idea I would like something in this genre, and then you go and you maybe find what you're looking for, and you take it off the shelf, you buy it. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Part of the fun. That was the case with, is it Michel Houellebecq? Or Houellebecq? He wrote a book called The Map and the Territory, which I read about. I want to say I read about 90 pages of it, maybe 80 pages, maybe less. I read it for about, I want to say 4 hours or something, and it was horribly depressing. It was unrelentingly sad, and not in the typical tragic sense. It was sad in as much as it was just unrelentingly bleak. And the bleakness was portrayed with a sort of matter-of-fact, almost like flippant statements without any emotional charge. And it got to it's hard to explain, but the thing that I remember was that he was talking about the protagonist's girlfriend and how she was a high-priced call girl in Paris. This is the girl that he's dating. She's a high-priced call girl escort in Paris, and I believe the paragraph that I stopped and put it down for, it was just so frustrating and sad and depressing. The protagonist's girlfriend lets men fuck her in the ass for like 225 euros a time, and that's how she makes her money. She makes a fairly decent living by letting other men have anal intercourse with her, and that's her job, and it's what she does, and she doesn't like it, but she's made her peace with it, and she just allows that to be what she does. And this is the protagonist's girlfriend, and that's at that point I was just like, this is just too fucking sad. It got an emotion out of me. It got a reaction. The reaction was, I can't fucking read this. This is too awful to even conceive. And yet, it's kind of real as well, because no doubt there are people in the world in that situation. And I closed the book and I just was like, I can't read any more of it. And he's well renowned as being like an incisive and inflammatory author, with a lot to say about the state of decay in the modern world, which was why I picked him up. I thought maybe I could learn something, maybe there'll be something in here of value, but it was just this nightmare fiction. It was just, it was sad and it was horrifying and it was kind of darkly funny in a few little bits, but the overall effect of reading it was just unpleasant, extremely unpleasant, and I just could not continue, even though it was a well-written, artfully done piece of work. But at some point, you kind of have to just look at what you're reading, and just in the same way that you're like, do I want to eat this or that? You look at what you're reading and you're like, is this gonna do good for me? Is this gonna improve my lot? Is this going to make me a sharper mind? Is this going to make me feel better about things? Is this going to make me feel worse about things? And, it's not an obligation of a book to make you feel good by any stretch of the imagination. It's okay for a book to make you feel bad if there's something to be gained in the process. And maybe there is somewhere in that Wheelback book, but that was just too brutal. And I wasn't detecting that there was going to be anything in there that I could take away and feel better about. I was detecting that I was going to read this, and it was going to make me feel awful. And I was going to worry to myself about the future. Like, is this what the future holds in our future Western society? Because, he had this tangent about cam girls, and how girls will make their living taking their clothes off on a camera, in front of a webcam. And it was, it was kind of a theme of the book, was that this was something that women were doing, as they are in the real world. And it bothers me and it horrifies me to this day. It honestly makes me feel kind of sick. It does make me feel sick. It makes me feel really nauseated in the pit of my stomach. It's a theme that is going through in the book. And somebody should address this. But it was just, I just couldn't read it. Like, I just could not, because it just made me feel so awful. It broke me, essentially. That book broke me on page 93. Because I knew if I was like, I'm going to continue, and this is going to keep going, and it's going to get worse, and it's literal nightmare fuel, and it's not going to stop. And will I get to page 300 and close it and finish it and be done with it? And will I say to myself, that was worth reading? Or will I say to myself, that was horrendous and horrifying, and I never want to read it again? And I just suspected that was going to be the case. So I had to put it down. It would be like delving into a tremendously deep, dark pit in the earth, filled with rabid bats, and then getting to the bottom, and you had no reason to go down there. There was no reason, you just did it. for something to do. And then you came back up and you were sick and you were rabid. You know, what does it accomplish? Just makes you feel bad about the world. And do we really need any more of that? No, I don't think we do. So, this has been a YouTube video. And hopefully it was enjoyable to watch, and I will make more. And hopefully the next one will be more lucid, and hopefully the one after that will be more lucid still. And maybe I'll get around to explaining why the words South Island are in the bottom left of the screen. So take care, Christine. Love you lots. Miss you every day. Thank you for trying to keep my spirits up. And succeeding as well. Thank you for being there for me, and because I'd be going fucking insane. You have turned something that would be quite hellish into something palatable and manageable. So love you, and I'll probably put the fucking microphone down and then go and text you on Skype. Right? Okay, we're done.